American women are getting kind of upset that men are leaving America to find their woman.
No, honey, we are not upset. We're amused, and we find it very funny. Because a lot of the men leaving the US to find their wife abroad, they're only doing so because they believe women in the US have standards that are too high. So they're going abroad because they believe that the cultural and language barriers will allow them to find a wife that's easy to manipulate, to control, to lie to, and that your standards are going to be lower than ours. Wherein, in reality, your standards are going to be the same, if not higher, than women in the US. So we're actually waiting for the ball to drop when they realize this, that they're not going to get what they want, that they're not going to find somebody to manipulate.
Yeah, you're going to be waiting for that ball to drop for a pretty long time. So according to her, men think women in the US have high standards, thus men are dating abroad so that they can manipulate and control their partner. Let me tell you something that you have probably already guessed. I haven't dated in America. I actually grew up in a very small village of only 500 people. If there were more than 5 cars on the road, it was considered a traffic jam. But for my dudes dating in the US, UK, Canada, Australia, if women back home want a guy to be over 6 feet, make over 100k, is healthy, cooks, cleans, and God knows what else, and you provide him next to nothing, I can't blame him for dating in Asia. What these content creators don't understand is that it's not about him trying to find a girl who has lower standards, it's about trying to find a match who likes him for him. Yes, there will always be Asian women who like a tall man or a rich man, just like there are Western men who like a slim woman and a beautiful woman. We all have our likes and dislikes. But in Asia, most women desire connection and love, and in the West, it's all about what she can get out of you and what you can provide for her. Men are waking up to this. No, men are not going overseas to find a woman with less standards or to control or manipulate. It's to find someone who they connect with, someone who doesn't give them a headache, and someone who hasn't fallen for the poison of wokeness or whatever worldview is currently popular. But this moves us nicely on to today's video about Asian fetish. Let's take a look at this video.
Odd that they're displaying white women from the 1950s. But this highlights the hyperfeminization of East Asian women in comparison to Western women. A false dichotomy presented by the passport bros is of masculinized Western women and non-Western feminine women. But the inclusion of 1950s housewife iconography is not accidental. It promotes the notion that a perpetual 1950s exists outside of the West. The attainment of submissive women is just a plain right away. But specifically white men often target East Asian women to fulfill their fetish of a submissive woman. East Asian fetishization is at the crossroads of racism and misogyny. One is that whiteness wields a conquesting instinct, and submissiveness in women is ideal.
So this is a topic that I've seen on social media over the years, and I've had conversations in the past with Western women who believe that Western men are going overseas to get that 1950s life. And to point out the obvious, there are men who have a fetish and sexualize Asian women, but this is only a very small percentage. The point of these videos here at Alavasia HQ is to share the reality of dating in Asia. I'm not here to defend men, but when men are being accused of all kinds of stuff simply because they prefer Asian women, it's not fair. But what's funny is you can't even say that you prefer Asian women anymore. I mean, seriously. I like women with brown eyes. No, you can't say that anymore. That's eye racism. That's racism to the eyes. You have to say that you like all eye colours. And there are people out there that say they like all women because they know the backlash that they will get if they say otherwise. But in reality, their last 10 girlfriends were Asian. But he can't say that because he knows that he will be called out as having a fetish. What a joke. But what about the women who date Asian men and clearly have a fetish? Well, let's see.
Go get it. He has red hair, green eyes, and a fox demon inside him. Come here. But in real life, of course he's got to be Asian. I think Japanese movies were really a big inspiration, like the samurai movies. I love just how they looked in their samurai outfits with their long, luscious hair, their eyes, their face, their skin tone. I love everything about them. Go get it. So I found a social media page called Asian Men, White Women, and that is where I found my Asian prince.
Hey, baby, I miss you a lot. Love you.
Johnny is from China. He is 34 years old. He has an amazing smile, and his eyes are just perfect. When I first started talking to Johnny, I was like, oh my God, I just hit the jackpot.
Hey, Ella, it's Johnny. I hope you have a great day.
Johnny and I have surprisingly a lot in common. I'm like this Western girl, you know, who has this Asian obsession. He's kind of like an Asian man who has a Western culture obsession. And we both love anime.
Can you imagine the kind of comments that would come in if the genders were reversed? This lady has an intense likening for Asian men, and I suspect that anime is not the only type of Asian video that she's been watching on the internet. Any kind of fetish or seeing people as objects is not cool, but just like men, this woman makes up a very small percentage of women who prefer Asian men. So it's insane that there are so many videos from women verbally attacking men, when in reality the kind of men that they're attacking only make up a very small percentage. But no matter the person, there is a chance of developing a fetish, and in some situations it can go too far. If on the slim chance you feel that you have a fetish and you want my advice, let's have a heart-to-heart. You can click on this timestamp here to skip over this quick public announcement. First, determine if it's a preference or a fetish. If it's sexual or all about the physical features, then there's a good chance that it's a fetish. If this fetish is causing you problems in your life and sabotaging your relationships or hindering your dating experience, it's important to take a step back and look at things logically. What are your thoughts and feelings that led you to this? What cycles do you find yourself in, and how are you wasting your time, energy, and resources? A fetish normally develops because a person builds an association or a conditioning towards a certain type of person. But there are also deeper reasons, such as life experiences, control, anxiety, and there are many other things that can cause a fetish. And if you do have a fetish, it's up to you to determine if this is a problem for you or not. But to warn you, if you do look into this, you might find a lot of raw and pleasant emotions coming up. Think about it like a cut in the skin. The fetish acts as a band-aid. You take that off and you're left with an open wound. I say this because I've been there. My ex cheated on me and I started to date women who were not my type. Basically, they were overweight and much older, but I felt somehow that they wouldn't cheat on me. It was a big insecurity, but if this fetish that you may or may not have is connected to something deeper, it must come to the surface so that the wound can be cleaned, healed, and a healthy relationship can blossom. Anyways, let's get back onto some light-hearted videos.
This is why Western women is mad, because look at her, she's pretty and she's a housewife and she takes care of 2 kids. It's not our fault. They even say that we steal their men. No, we don't steal your men. Do your men come in here?
One more pinch of salt to add to the pot, which again most Western women forget to speak about when they call out men, is that men have to continuously approach women. Take a look at this video.
I am tired of the men that just don't go for it. They're just so scared. They think that they're gonna get rejected when it's like, bruh, like, just take a freaking chance. I am tired, sick and tired of this, excuse my language, but this pussy energy.
Yeah, what about going over to chat with a guy? You want it all to be equal, right? That's what everybody keeps going on about. God, I'd love to see how women deal with the constant rejection that men go through on a daily basis. But madam, have you stopped to ask yourself why guys don't approach women anymore?
One thing I just genuinely do not understand is why guys don't approach girls anymore, like while they're out at the bar. Maybe guys just don't approach me and that's like a personal problem I need to address at a later date.
Picture yourself at the edge of a dangerous canyon. On the other side, there is a $100 bill. but there's an unstable rope bridge extending over the canyon, swaying in the wind. It's old, it's worn, and it's clearly falling apart. The moral of the story? Some things are just not worth the risk. Approaching a woman in a friendly way and being a gentleman? Forget about it. You would probably be called out for being a creep just by smiling at a lady. And then you look at Southeast Asia, women here are inviting, approachable, caring. The biggest regret that most expats mention is that they didn't come over sooner. But amazingly, this is not all I found out about the topic. So head over to this video and you'll see why so many Western women are getting angry with the Passport Bros movement, and you most definitely don't want to miss this one.